Good evening, one and all. This is Nitya from First MSc, Department of Chemistry. Today, we will be having a session on precipitation reaction. Here, we are going to understand the formation of insoluble solids in a chemical reaction. Before moving into precipitation reaction, it is important to know what is chemical reaction first. So, a chemical reaction can be defined as where two reactants react together forming in the product. The resultant of this chemical reaction will be a desired product. Moving on to precipitation reaction. As the name suggests, in the precipitation reaction, it is important to make a note that there is a formation of precipitate. So, a precipitation reaction can be defined as it is a type of chemical reaction where two soluble salts in an aqueous solutions are combined, resulting in the formation of insoluble solid that is known as precipitate. As I mentioned before, precipitation reaction is a reaction in which the precipitate is formed. Then, how this precipitate is formed? When the two soluble salts in an aqueous solution are combined, they result in the formation of the insoluble solid. That insoluble solid is known as precipitate. To understand precipitation reaction in a very brief manner, let us move into a general form here where the equation is representing AB and CD are the reactants. Both of them are in the aqueous media, give rise to AD, that is in the solid form, and CB in the aqueous form. Here AD is considered to be a precipitate of this reaction since it is in the solid form. As it is mentioned before, the precipitate is nothing but the insoluble solid. Here AD is the insoluble solid formed due to the reaction of this AB and CD. Therefore, this AD is considered to be an insoluble solid, nothing but a precipitate. Let us look into an example where AgNO3, that is silver nitrate in the aqueous media, is reacting with NaCl, that is sodium chloride in aqueous media, giving rise to AgCl, that is silver chloride in the solid form, which is nothing but the precipitate formed in this precipitation reaction, and sodium nitrate in the aqueous form. Here AgCl is a white precipitate that is deposited at the bottom of the container. So this is about introduction on precipitation reaction. Now, as all the reactions has its own characteristic features, precipitation reaction also has its own characteristics. Among them, formation of solid is one of the important characteristic feature of precipitation reaction. Formation of solid is nothing but a visible insoluble solid, that is the precipitate, forms when the two clear solutions are mixed. Here the two clear solutions that are being mixed are the reactants of this precipitation reaction. And again, this precipitation reaction occurs in the aqueous solution. Aqueous media is nothing but, as you seen before, here AgNO3 is also in aqueous media and NaCl is also in aqueous media. Hence, this precipitation reaction is being taken place in an aqueous media. Again, double displacement reaction. It is one of the important point to note down in precipitation reaction, that the precipitation reaction is also known as double displacement reaction. Double displacement reaction means ions exchange partners between the two reacting compounds. So, when we look into this example, here AgNO3 is being reacted with NaCl. Here, the NO3 ions are being replaced from chloride ions and the chloride ions are being replaced from NO3 ions. You can see it on the screen. Here, the displacement of ions is taking place, and here double displacement because two ions are being displaced from one another. Chloride ion from nitrate ions and nitrate ions from chloride ion. Hence it is referred to as double displacement reaction. Nothing but the precipitation reaction is known as a double displacement reaction. Insoluble product. As the name suggests, precipitation reaction is is giving rise to, or the product formed is insoluble product, that is the precipitate that is formed during the reaction. That means at least one product is not soluble in the water and separates out of the solid. That one insoluble solid formed is known as precipitate. Instantaneous. This precipitation reaction is very much instantaneous, which means once the two aqueous solutions are mixed with one another, there is a quick formation of precipitate that is referred to as instantaneous. That means very quick reaction. So these precipitation reaction are used or also used to identify ions, like commonly used in quantitative analysis to detect the presence of specific ions. Quantitative analysis in the sense, since the precipitate are deposited at the bottom of the container, they are filtered and further they are dried and weighed, which gives the quantity of the ions or the quantity of the compound present in the compound or present in the particular reaction. When we talk about to detect the presence of specific ion, here in this reaction AgNO3 is being reacted with sodium chloride. For the presence or absence of this chloride ion, AgNO3 is being used as reagent where a specific type of precipitate is formed that indicates the presence of chloride ion in the reaction. Here, when AgNO3 is reacted with sodium chloride, there is a formation of white precipitate that indicates the presence of chloride ion in the reaction. Now, reversible. So, these precipitation reactions are reversible reaction because when the precipitate are settled at the bottom of the container, if in case the temperature is raised or the solvent used is changed, those deposit or those insoluble solids are being dissolved in the aqueous media. Hence, the precipitation reaction is also considered to be a reversible reaction. So, since the session I have been mentioned the word precipitate, then what do you mean by precipitate and how this precipitate is formed? A precipitate is formed when two solutions containing ions are mixed. The ions combine to create a compound that is insoluble. Insoluble in the sense it is not dissolved not only in the water, it is not dissolved in the solvent used or the aqueous media used, because this compound cannot stay dissolved. It comes out of the solution as a solid, and that solid, that insoluble solid to be specific, that insoluble solid is known as precipitate. So this is how the precipitation reaction occurs, and the formation of precipitate does not involve any complex steps like other reactions. Here, when two aqueous solutions with different ions are mixed, the positive and negative ions exchange themselves. That is nothing but it is termed as double displacement. There is a displacement of ion taking place. Again, a new compound which is formed, it is being, one of the compound is being insoluble in the solvent or the aqueous media. Hence, it comes at the bottom. That means the solid particles gather and settle out of the liquid, forming the precipitate. That settled down insoluble solid is known as precipitate, and these are the steps involved in the formation of precipitate. So, it is very important to know whether all the compounds that undergo reaction form a precipitation reaction or leads to the formation of precipitate. No, there is some rules and regulations where the compound follow themselves to form to undergo in the precipitation reaction. That is nothing but the solubility rules. Here you can see two different columns with their own rules and regulations for the soluble ions and insoluble ions. The soluble ion column include alkali metal, that is group 1A, like sodium, potassium, lithium, etc., along with ammonium ion, nitrates, acetates, chlorates, perchlorates, and also when we talk about halogens, it is chloride, bromide, iodide with metals. In the case of halogens, there is some of the exceptional cases, that is F minus fluoride ion, silver